And we are back live on
Yes.
YouTube.
Yes, we are.
Thank you so much. So now we're on item 6, terms of reference. So there was a council motion on November 15th regarding review of all boards and committees. And included in your package was our terms of reference. And we're looking at any changes or additions and your thoughts in terms of the terms of reference, any edits that you may have, and any questions.
Lisa, the CAO
Madam-
has some information to go
Yep.
through on that as well.
Yep. Malcolm?
I had emailed before the meeting just a very brief summary of the Finance Committee's history and the timeline on it. As you know, it was established by Council Resolution back in 2003. And the terms of reference have been amended 3 times, I believe now, 2015, 17, and 18. Some of that was composition only. In general, as you know, Council has directed the committee by resolution to review their terms of reference and return to Council with options, is the wording of the resolution. Essentially, you have your choices before you are to recommend back to Council that the terms of reference stay as is, recommend back that with some changes to the terms of reference, or recommend that you dissolve the committee. Under any of those, or under the option of adding in recommendations to change the terms of reference, I think we need to have some discussion today. You may also want to, after that discussion, refer that back to staff to do some more investigation and gather more material for you to consider. The one thing I would note to the committee is that in general, during my time here and observing the process from the beginning, in general, the Finance Committee looks at its terms of reference, and there's usually a desire on the part of the committee to have a wider role and a more in-depth role, or the regarding finances of the municipality. In general, when those recommendations come to Council as a whole, there's an apprehension on Council as a whole to grant those wider powers or those broader terms of reference. And that apprehension comes from the desire of Council not to have a small subset of Council start looking into things in great detail, such as if the budget came to the Finance Committee prior to Council as a whole. So that's the sort of discussions you have. That just gives you the background. I know it's just Council members here today as part of the quorum, and our 2 citizen members aren't present, but that's what you have before you. So I'll turn it back to the chair and you can have your discussion.
Thanks very much, Malcolm. I'll just, as I see you, Paul, do you have any comments?
Nope.
Nope. Rick, do you have any comments, questions?
Oh, the only comment I would make is that I would echo what Malcolm just said. I think every time there were amendments tried to be made to the terms of reference over the years to the Finance Committee, Council never really accepted them because they didn't want to give that power to a committee. So it remains a committee that, in my view, doesn't. I mean, we look at the audit, we accept the auditor's report, and we look over the statements, and Council does the same thing when it goes to Council. So I don't see anything that we could change to make it more significant to a committee, I guess.
Okay. Marchie?
Oh, I echo Rick's comments. And we just leave it at that. No questions.
Okay. My only recommendation might be to decrease the composition of the committee members. I know, it's difficult to get quorum at times. So Malcolm, what are your thoughts on that if we have less members that make up the committee?
That's certainly a discussion you can have. You have two types of members on it. You have members of council and citizen members. The majority of members are council members, and the chair of the committee has to be a council member. So if you are looking at reducing the amount of members, you would also want to keep the ratios in mind.
The same, because we're 7, 5 council, 2 citizens. Correct?
I believe, and Shelley can note this, I believe your terms of reference have either 3 or 5 members of council.
Yeah, they do.
That is correct, Malcolm.
Yeah, 3 to 5 and 2 external.
Lisa, just if I might, so
Yeah,
your desire to reduce the numbers is strictly to help us meet quorum?
I'm thinking that, yes.
How many times have we missed quorum this year? In the, say, the last, do we know how many meetings? Obviously, the last one.
Yeah.
But how many have we not had quorum for?
I would say, Shelley probably knows better, but I would say it happens quite often.
I can reiterate, I can't give you a definite number, but we have over the last
2 years.
probably 2 years.
Yeah.
Don't know whether it's related to COVID or otherwise, but we have had trouble getting quorum. Meetings have had to be postponed. And then in the cases, the last one where we anticipate we have quorum, and then we get to the meeting and there isn't. But Lisa, I did want to talk about one other item. So one of the options that the CAO did talk about is dissolve. That doesn't mean that the duties, especially surrounding the audit committee, because that is a very important duty of council. It's their duty of care, and it helps with the governance role that all councillors have. If there is no longer a finance committee and that role isn't done within a finance committee, that would move to a closed session of the whole of council. So that would still be done, but everybody would be part of that conversation, and we would still have KPMG doing the same thing that they had done today. So I just want to make sure that everybody's aware that dissolving doesn't mean that that piece is gone.
Okay. I do think the committee is important in terms that we do have some engagement from the general public at large, especially when we're looking at, getting budget consultations and that sort of thing. And I think I see our role in that is, really promoting engagement from the broader community in terms of the budget process and feedback and that sort of thing. And I do also appreciate, us having that review of financials before they get presented to council, because then, there's another set of eyes that I think is helpful with the rest of our colleagues on council. So at this point, I don't think that I would want to do dissolve, but I definitely would like to see less members so that then we would not be battling this quorum. Paul?
Yeah. First of all, Malcolm or Shelley, it would be our recommendation if we decided to dissolve to bring to council to make the final decision, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Lisa, I appreciate your comments, but ultimately, all the eyes of council will see the auditing report.
Mhm.
I have no experience with this, but I'm not sure how the success of quorum is reached with fewer, unless there's some historical proof that having a smaller group guarantees better quorum or better chance of quorum. I'm just thinking in terms of the practical use of this committee. And I appreciate the background work that goes in by city staff to make these meetings pretty fluid and efficient. But I'm being honest with you, I struggle with the amount, the purpose of it beyond the auditing, etc. So I'm not suggesting it's a bad thing, but I'm certainly open to potentially dissolving if there's a mechanism that we can create that would provide that element of public input that Lisa points out. Just my thoughts.
Archie?
Thank you, Lisa. I'm just wondering, and maybe Shelley or Malcolm would be able to answer. Have we ever done a comparison, like what other municipalities, what their finance committee, what their role is compared to ours? Has there been a comparison done?
In when the finance committee was constituted, it came as a result of that type of comparison report. Staff were first asked to do a comparison and come back to council. What you end up with when we do that kind of examination is generally the finance committees that have more input are in fact standing committees of council, and they're one of several standing committees. That being said, staff can certainly do another, if you choose to refer it back to staff, we can do another survey and comparison and bring it back to this committee for further review.
I would appreciate that. I think before we make decisions on reducing the committee size or to abolish the finance committee completely, I think if a report came back to the finance committee and we can review it and discuss it in more detail would be great. That's my opinion.
Yeah, that's a good idea, Marchie. We can do some comparables to say, look at Sudbury, North Bay, Sarnia, Peterborough,
Okay.
probably take a look
All
at
right.
some-
I support that.
Yeah. Rick, did you have something you wanted to add?
Well, no, I think what I said originally was along the lines of, shutting down the committee, because I'm not sure. This is my second term on this committee, my second run of 4.
Yeah.
And I think back, and I don't know how many recommendations came out of this committee that went to council. I don't remember any.
No, I think about the most that kind of we recommend is the budget consultation process with working with Tessa and that sort of thing. But other than reviewing the financials and then having them, we ask our questions. But we've not brought anything forth to council that I can recall since I've been here.
Yeah, and I go back to the first stint that I had on the committee. The first, I just don't remember anything coming from the committee that's been recommended. I'm not, carrying a flag that say we shouldn't have this committee. I just struggle to see what effect we're having by meeting. And I don't know, I know we don't meet a lot during the year, but no, I think that's all I'll say.
I think Marchie's approach is a good one. Unless something earth-shattering comes from the review, I stand by my comments, but I'm certainly willing to see what other municipalities are doing.
Okay. So why don't we just propose that we're at our next meeting? We're going to bring forth some sampling of other terms of reference from other like municipalities and then form a decision and recommendations based on that.
Sure.
That sound good?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Where's my- I have too many windows open. There we go. Okay, so that will be our homework for our next meeting. Is there any other business? None? Seeing none? And Shelley, why don't we plan for our next meeting in March? That gives us a good amount of weeks, and then I'll see if I can find any terms of reference. I'll send them off to the committee as well. So
Okay, so just to confirm, Lisa, the March meeting then will be for the terms of reference
correct.
discussion? Okay. And we will be sending out a corporate calendar soon. We're just had to revisit everything because of the change in the 3-week structure and how it's
Yeah.
going to work. So,
I know it is confusing.
Yeah.
It took me a while to adjust my 2022. Well, seeing nothing else, we will get a meeting together in March and we'll circulate some terms of reference prior to that. Reach out to any of your colleagues that you may have out of town as well. I'll reach out to my few that I've got out there and see what we can pull up. Thank you so much. I need a motion to adjourn. Mr. Christian, Mr. Nero, all in favor? Take care, everybody. Stay
Thanks,
warm.
guys. Take care.
take care.
Take care.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Everybody.